Well, hello again to my Links family and friends out there. We're just on the other side of Thanksgiving, and I trust your holiday season was great with family and friends and enriching to your soul. Today, Friday, December 1st, begins our first episode on what we're going to simply entitle Advent Fridays 2023. And this first session is going to be on hope. For you that grew up in traditional churches or liturgical churches, we usually light the Advent candles, which is a time of preparation as we prepare our hearts and think about his first and his second Advent. And as I mentioned, we're going to talk about hope. It's my privilege and my real thrill and joy today that I get to actually interview my son, Jonathan Darville. Jonathan is one of the pastors of Peace Presbyterian Church in Cary, North Carolina. And let's just say he's an occasional golfer, primarily because he's married and he's got a 2-year-old and another one on the way, and he's busy shepherding a church. So welcome, Jonathan.
Hey, thanks for having me. Good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you too. Listen, I know hope has been a massively important theme in your life, and I ask you to give this some thought. Tell us what the Lord's put on your heart and mind, and communicate to us just about how the theme of hope has been so meaningful to you.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the thing that stands out to me is that the critical importance of hope is that you cannot endure life's hardships and trials without it. You just have to have it, and it has to be real. It also makes me think of my probably all-time favorite film, which is Shawshank Redemption, and hope is just a huge theme in that movie. And if your viewers and listeners haven't seen it, then I'd encourage you to go watch it. But it's also a story of friendship between two men, Red and Andy Dufresne. And if you remember, they're both imprisoned, and I'm going to kind of combine a couple conversations. But when they were in the mess hall in Shawshank Prison eating lunch one day, Red says to Andy, hope is a dangerous thing. It can drive a man insane. And the reason he said that is because he just had a radically different view of hope, and he didn't think that there was any prospect of him getting out of this prison. And to which Andy later says to him, Red, don't forget, hope is a good thing, maybe the best of things, and no good thing ever dies. And then also in the context of this conversation, says to him that you need it. You need hope, you need beauty, and you need these things because they remind you that there are places in the world that aren't made out of stone. And so I think that when you think about hope, it really gets down to the question of whether or not you believe that there is a hope beyond the horizon of death. And so I would say there's kind of three views of hope. There's the no hope view, or the false hope view. There's the potential or possible hope view. And then there's the certain hope view. And the first one of those is just the atheist view of the universe. And they kind of view the universe as a cosmic combat zone at which everybody in the end dies, right? And so there is no hope beyond the horizon of death. And faced with that reality, if that's true, if there is no hope, the existentialists were great at this about just being honest, that if that's the case, then what's to keep us from entering into a state of total despair at life's difficulties and trials? That really you're going to be overcome and overwhelmed by life trials because there is no hope beyond the horizon of death. There is no possibility of things ever getting better. And so that's why they viewed life as kind of absurd. It was meaningless. Why do we have these deep desires for things like beauty and goodness and hope? But they don't exist. Now, there's a second view of the world. There's the possible hope view, which is largely you would find maybe in the Eastern religions, pantheistic religions, Hinduism, Buddhism, or the Abrahamic faith of Islam, which are works-based, right, religions. And that's the idea that it's possible that there's some hope beyond the horizon of death, but really it's contingent upon whether or not you live a good enough life. And so the trial here in this case is you don't know. You're not going to know until you die whether you make it to the good place or the bad place. And so that leads to, in the midst of trial and difficulty, a lot of anxiety, right? Just because you don't know. You're living in constant fear.
Right.
And so just to give you another kind of conceptual framework here, they view the world not as a cosmic combat zone, but as a cosmic correctional institution where you're essentially paying off your bad karma, right? And the goal of life is not restoration, but escape, right? The escape of the body, the escape of the material world. And so, I don't know if that's really resonating what the deepest desires of the human heart are when it relates to hope, right? And so that's the second view. Now, finally, of course, the third view is the Christian view where there's a certain hope, right? And we don't view the world as a cosmic combat zone or a cosmic correctional institution. We view the world as a cosmic cathedral that's been made by God, but it's broken. But the good news is, right, that the transcendent architect of the universe has plans to renovate this whole world and us with it. And he has what's going to happen in the future has broken into the present in the person of Christ, who's died and risen as a preview of what will happen to all those who put their faith in him. And so our hope, we don't mourn as those without it, because ours is certain. It's the certainty of things hoped for. We know for a fact that there's coming a day because of Christ when all the bad things, or as J.R. Tolkien said, everything sad is going to become untrue. We are going to become sinless creatures in deathless bodies. We are going to enter into a state of perfect joy. And if you not only know that, but you believe it, and you have that hope, the certain hope, then that enables you to endure hardship and unimaginable suffering and great trial with confidence and with comfort, not with anxiety and despair. And so just as a quick closing example of that, in my own life, I battled chronic health issues for 14 years. And in the last 3 years, in unimaginable pain. I was bedbound. My parents were my caretakers. My precious bride was going to work every day. And I just remember on a number of occasions, I would be curled up in pain on the couch. And my wife would just come over and whisper in my ear, "Treasures in heaven, baby, treasures in heaven." And so for us, as a family, and for us as a married couple, the thing that kept me from stepping in front of a bus was that hope, right? Was that confidence that there's coming a day when things are going to get better. If you can just hold on a little longer, these light and momentary afflictions are preparing for us an eternal weight of glory that far outweighs them all. And so for Jillian, my wife, just last thing here, for my wife, I just remember asking her one time, "Sweetie, are you thinking about leaving?" Anybody with what we've been through would be thinking about leaving. And she says to me, "It's my honor to be called to suffer with you." And the thing that gave her the most comfort and the most hope in the midst of that was this song, and the lyrics said, and I was, by the way, 110 pounds and had unimaginable stomach pain, was on a feeding tube. And so this added, weight to the lyrics. But it said, "There's coming a day when we will feast and weep no more. There's coming a day when we will feast and weep no more." And if you have that hope, you can endure any hardship.
Yeah. Yeah, John, by the grace of God, you and Jill, your mom and I, we made it through that. And hope really was the anchor of your soul, Jillian's soul. Hope was the anchor to your mom and my soul. Let me just close this session. I want to read something from C.S. Lewis that, as only C.S. Lewis can do, sums up in a few paragraphs what would take others entire books. He says this about hope, looking to the future. "A continual looking forward to the eternal world is not, as some modern people think, a form of escapism or wishful thinking, but one of the things Christians are meant to do. Does not mean that we're to leave the present world as it is. If you read history, you'll find that Christians who did the most for the present world were just those who thought most of the next. The apostles themselves set on foot the conversion of the Roman Empire, the great men who built up the Middle Ages, the English evangelicals who abolished slave trade, all left their mark on earth precisely because their minds were occupied with heaven. It is since Christians have largely ceased to think of the other world that they have become so ineffective in this one. Aim at heaven and you'll get earth thrown in. Aim at earth and you'll get neither. Well, that's true. Hope, our certain hope that Jesus has secured for us, is something that anchors our soul, buoys our souls, gives us strength in the present day to make a difference in the world. Hey, son, thanks for your time. And to our Links family and friends out there, God bless. We trust this holiday season is going to be a rich and meaningful time for you and your family. We'll see you next Friday.
Thanks you. Love you, Dad.
See you. Love you too.